Thank you very much. Let us advocate, encourage, and exceed as we work with youth. This morning, I want to give the follow-up message, the message I gave before, on attracting and maintaining youth in the assembly. Let us advocate, encourage, and exceed as we work with youth. The church is in a crisis, as there is a hemorrhaging of young people. So young people are just, as it were, bleeding away from the churches, and by that, I do not just mean the brethren churches. I have been to other churches. So I'm saying the church generally is hemorrhaging, and is hemorrhaging young people. The last time I met you, I started the discussion, as I alluded to before, on the importance of youth and how to attract and maintain them. My purpose here is to encourage you, but not necessarily to make you comfortable. I'm listening to Sister Vivian's song. You know, sometimes it takes a mountain, sometimes a troubled sea, sometimes it takes a desert to get a hold of me. That was that. Okay, if I could sing like Sister Vivian, I could sing. You know, I thought the one took a risk when he asked me to come up here and sing with me. You know, because you know what I'm talking about. Indeed, some measure of discomfort is required to apply what is being taught today. One of our own poets said, relentlessness is discontent, and discontent is the first necessity for progress. He said, show me a thoroughly satisfied person. Man, I will show you. Sometimes it takes that kind of discontent with where we are. It takes that kind of discomfort with where we are to get us moving to where we should be. So my message, as I said before, is not to make anybody comfortable, not to make me comfortable, but it is to get a desired response. And at the end, I'm going to ask you, once you have Wi-Fi one time, to text me your response, to WhatsApp me your response. You know, if we're going to facilitate the survival of our survival as a church, we may need to get out of our comfort zone and do some uncomfortable things. In this passage, Paul took a risk. The passage we are going to read, I may as well tell you, one time we're dealing with Philemon this morning. And we all know Philemon has what, 10 chapters? Okay, you're laughing at me. All right, okay, I think we know Philemon has one chapter. Yeah? So we're going to be dealing with Philemon this morning. So you may as well find Philemon one time or look on the screen and you will see Philemon in a little while. You know, so Paul took a risk. And I remember ministering here at some point in time about somebody who took a risk with Paul. Do you remember who that was? Somebody who took a risk with Paul and he was still Saul. Who was it? I ministered back here this morning. Who? Barnabas, that's right. So Barnabas took a risk with Paul, and here's Paul now taking a risk. Isn't that something? So again, right away we start to get the message. Because we know people who took risks with us, we must therefore, and I haven't reached that part of the message, I don't know why I'm saying this now, but therefore, okay, somebody needs to hear this right now. We need to take a risk. So Paul, advocated on behalf of a runaway slave who could have been legally killed. Secondly, he asked for encouragement from his slave owner. And thirdly, he asked him to exceed the norm. Hence, advocate, encourage, exceed. Now, we do not know how old Onesimus was as a slave. We don't know how old he was. But maybe he was a young man, owing to the fact that he could actually run away as a slave and conceal his identity. I don't know what man to do. to do that. But this young, I believe he may have been young if he was able to do that kind of stuff. But whether he was old or young isn't really so important or critical to today's application. Since we can easily compare what we read here, we can easily compare him to those who are enslaved by the passions and indiscretion and impulsiveness of youth. And therefore, I am in need of someone to advocate, encourage, and exceed in order to facilitate their freedom to service. Before I read these verses, there are some things here that I'm not too certain about in my explanation. I would be asking some young people to help me with those explanations. And it doesn't have much to do with the script here, as much as it has to do with what is going on now and what is going on in the world of young people. I'm talking about things like the metaverse and stuff like that. Yeah, so at some point in time, I'm probably going to have to ask a young person to explain that for me, if I get it wrong. And if she said she don't know what you're doing, okay, but I don't know this. As soon as they're planning the strategy already for me. Thank you. So final one, verses 17 to 21. If then you count me as a partner, this is Paul writing to this guy, the slave owner, who had a slave run away from him. Does if then you count me as a partner, receive him, as you would me. The man ran away, and Paul is writing to him, hey, don't kill this man, rich man. Don't beat him. Receive him as you would receive me. You got that? You okay with that? But if he has wronged you or owes anything, put that on my account. Whoa. You hearing this? Here's Paul saying, if this slave owed you anything, just put it on my account. Verse 19. I, Paul, am writing with my own hand. I will repay, not to mention to you that you owe me, even your own self besides. So it's how skillfully slipped that in. By the way, owner, yes, brother, let me have joy from you in the Lord. Refresh my heart in the Lord. Having confidence in your obedience, I write to you, knowing that you will do even more than I say. Are you seeing those words coming through already? May God have his blessing to be reading of his word for his name. Are you seeing advocate? Are you seeing exceed? No, exceed is the one. Are you seeing encourage? Are you seeing exceed? Are you seeing it here in Philemon? Let's see how much we can pull out of this. Advocate, encourage, exceed. I like that graphic. Advocate, encourage, exceed. That says a lot. Advocate, encourage, exceed. If we are going to save our assemblies, we need to liberate the youth by advocating, encouraging, and exceeding. We need to acknowledge, first of all, the reality of our situation. When I was a youth, in our conventions, we talked a lot about the exodus of young people from the assemblies. Now that now that I'm 55, our assemblies are critically endangered. It's as though, we were warned off so long ago. That's so long ago, because I was a youth just the other day. We were warned off before, and now it has come to pass. Our assemblies are critically endangered. I told you before that I've been to places where I have seen assemblies closed down, where we have seen the building rotting, where there are no more saints gathered there. I have seen it with my eyes. If we consider what God is about to say to us this morning, something for you to listen to, and walk away from Hillcrest Gospel Chapel unchanged, then our assemblies may die before the Lord returns. Whatever you hear this morning, it must change you. Whatever you hear this morning, if you learn anything, it must change you. It is now urgent that we effectively invest in the talent that the Lord has given to us. If we're going to save our assemblies, we need to liberate the youth by advocating, encouraging, and exceeding. Let me start preaching now. First point. Advocate for the youth, verse 17 to 19. Advocate for the youth. I found that coming through to me in verse 17 to 19 of Philemon. We must advocate on their behalf for the same regard for them as people give you. So I know some people are well respected, well regarded among the assemblies. There are some people well regarded and well respected in certain areas. What we need to do is use that regard and respect not to puff ourselves up, but to ask people to give this youth the same regard you're giving me, just as Paul asked for the same regard to be given to Odysseus. We must ask for the same regard. We must appeal for opportunities for them to stir up their gifts. We must appeal for them to increase while we decrease. We must appeal for these things, or assemblies are going to die. As advocates, if they mess up, stand ready to take responsibility. Yes, it is a tall order. If they mess up, just as Paul was taking responsibility here, we need to be prepared to take responsibility when that one under our wing messes up. We just say, okay, deal with him, deal with her. Yeah, deal with him over after. I'm not saying don't do that. But to the others, you must bear the brunt of that responsibility. You must take the responsibility when they mess up. Again, as I told you the story before, when I messed up when I jumped in the vehicle the first day, I was driving for the church. That Brother Alva, Brother Super Santos, Brother Alva jumped out of the vehicle. He took responsibility for the accident that I just caused. He said, don't worry, I handle that. And I thought then he was coming back to me to really give me good, But instead, he said, go back in the vehicle, let's go. That was something. And that's why years after they benefited from having a safer driver for many years in this, You need not to throw the youth under the proverbial bus. Well, yes, he do that, yes. She didn't. You need to take responsibility as a mentor, being patient with their failures. And it's as though this whole thing is talking about me as a youth, because failures I had many. I told you this already again, as I was heading up a very steep hill in St. James. I forgot the bus only had brakes going forward. And it was a very steep hill, a very long hill, and I headed up there. And of course, on the slope, I said, oh my, this does not have brakes in reverse. What if I meet a car going up the hill because the road was narrow? I was so sad, so dumb. I bend the corner. That's how things go, bend the corner. And as I bend the corner, a car was in the road. So man, God took all my limbs and everything started to work. My hands started to go like that. I started to shift the gear with this hand. My 2 feet were operating pedals. I don't know what I was doing. But as that thing came to a stop, I felt, God has put in a gear, a lower gear. And as I pulled my foot off the clutch, mashed the brakes to get a little leverage, it was reversing. And so the bus went bam across the road. Praise God again. He had turned that steering wheel because that bus had gone straight through somebody's house and they have killed the occupants. Now, there were young people with me in the bus. I'm saying that older people should give younger people. Those younger people didn't give no chance. They were quite contented to walk back down the hill. They weren't interested anymore in driving. That bus was empty as I went back down the hill. Because what happened, somebody from up the hill came and pulled me out, set me in a street, and so I was able to come down with brakes going forward. But when Uncle Albert heard that, he still didn't ban me from driving. You know. So we must take a risk for them. We must be prepared to lovingly, as I said, bear the cost of their mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes is going to cost, and we will need to put our hands in our pockets and bear the cost of their mistakes. Take a risk for them, as Barnabas took for Paul, as the believers, the elders took with me, and perhaps many others when they were younger. Do not be afraid either to call in your favors and debts for them. You know, there are some people who owe you something. Don't be afraid to call in your favors. You are mentoring this person. These are things we have to do. These are things we must leave here inside of our hearts. These are things that must be entrenched in us. We must be thinking at the same time, who can I mentor? Now, I don't mean force itself on me. But we must be thinking, who can I mentor? Who can I bring along? Remember, we need to do what we did in the first message, attract and maintain them. And we need to mentor them. You know, my generation is in a particularly good place or convenient bridge. Because as I said, Scarfler just fell from the system. Scarfler just fell from the system. So we are at a good place. I almost asked how many of you are around 55, but then you don't like to give out the age and so, you know. But I'm around 55. I'm like, am I old? so I'm not old. So when you don't try that. I'm not old. I'm not young. Again. Yeah? But I am somewhere in the middle there. So I am between when people are saying, hey, that's a real hard style thing. Where you at the lyrics? That was in my days, hard style. Now people understand. I don't know if I was a day. It's on fleek. They laugh. You know, that go on long time too. But we are between saying, hey, that's dandy, that's slick, that's cork, to saying now it's really dope. Just put a chair behind it. That's really dope. And by dope, I understand the men like short for dopamine. You know? So that's really dope. They still say that, right? Like again, back up from my youth behind them. Right, so they still say that. And we are between that, so we need to bridge that gap. We need to bridge the gap where people are talking about joking thing to talking about teeth head. Well, at least that's the truth of that. You know, let us allow God to use us, especially in the area of advocacy, where we can bridge that gap from the older heads to the younger ones. Is that okay? All right. If you ever knew, or if you never knew what advocacy is or was, now you know. So you are responsible before God to be an advocate. We must plan to be a solid advocate for the young people. I just want to say something to the young people really quick. There are people sacrificing, young people, I'm talking to you directly. There are people sacrificing and risking a lot as an advocate on your behalf. When God calls you, step in boldly and serve with grace, as we said in another message at some point in time. You know, I remember calling in a favor for youth at one point in time, got the youth in the institution, the youth, the principal of the institution, after having put off people, called me up and said, but where is the young man? I said, he didn't come? He said, no, I put people off. And she was upset with me because I felt I had some favors with the principal. Called up the youth, well, no, then people go again. I don't know how many favors I had with that principal, but I don't think I had any. Young people, prepare yourself within your calling and fan. I said fan. Fan as you've never fanned before. Those flames that God has given you as a gift. Fan those flames as you've never fanned before. Make good on the efforts of your advocates. If we are going to save our assemblies, we need to liberate the youth by advocating, encouraging, and exceeding. We need to give encouragement. Secondly, we need to give encouragement, and I'm getting that from verse what? From verse 20. So here, all right, so I got that from verse 20. When Paul says, yes, brother, let me have joy from you. He's asking for encouragement. Let me have joy from you in the Lord. Refresh my heart in the Lord. You know, he's asking for encouragement. Working with youth can be expensive. Working with youth can be an expensive venture. We need to give encouragement to the youth workers and youth serving ministries. We need perhaps to support those ministries. I think I have some listed here. WANA, is anybody know about that? WANA, MYF, Military Youth Fellowship, or Metropolitan Youth Fellowship. But I saw into my kind of fellowship. It's not military youth fellowship, but there is a military youth fellowship. But the Metropolitan Youth Fellowship, the youth meetings, the good tidings with the camps, past other people have in the camps, the Pine Bush camp, the New Horizons camp, the support the workers. Because in some places, like where I'm from, workers have to pay to go and work. Support the workers, the VBS effort, the Sunday schools, and that, we need to support this thing because, as I said, youth work takes a financial, it has a cost attached to it. Have we ever considered perhaps even a full-time sports minister? I mean, I don't know, where is this? This going to Trinidad? I hope it's not going to Trinidad. Because by us, I tell you, secretly, if ever we have a full-time worker who's a sports minister, okay, you get me ready. You might starve. You know what I'm saying? Thank you very much. Always good to bring life along. And I didn't introduce them, my wife here, my son, my daughters in back here. My mother-in-law was coming, but she couldn't make it this morning. And I did try to deliver your message to my father. But I am saying, if we ever had, a sports minister, that was a good start because see the importance of it. But sports attract young people, and men in particular like sports. So you may hit a double whammy by attracting young people and attracting men. If you have a full-time sports missionary, perhaps those are things we could think about in terms of this area of encouragement to the young people. I also have to put it up for the young people. The most fulfilling encouragement to those who work with youth is youth stepping up and benefiting from the work that the people do. When youth step up and benefit from things like singles camp that we had, recently in Trinidad. When they step up and benefit from Awana and the Caribbean virtual summer camps and the Brethren Sisters forums and the youth meetings like those they hold at GT and other places, but in other places, When youth step up and benefit from these things, it is a massive encouragement to the youth workers. So just as Paul is calling for encouragement here, the youth workers need encouragement because I'm telling you, they feel to give up sometimes. They're human. If we are going to save our assemblies, we need to liberate the youth by advocating, encouraging, and exceeding. Thirdly, my final point, exceed expectations. So youth, this is where you might have something to explain for me. Exceed expectations, verse 21. Having confidence in your obedience, I write to you, knowing that you will do even more than I say. He's asking that this person exceed his expectations. We need to empower the youth to lead. Someone told me at some point in time, hey, when you hit 45, start the process of handing over. Whatever you do in the assembly, start the process of handing over. No, they did not say hand over and leave. They did not say that. What they told me is start the process. Maybe that process is going to take 10 years. Maybe it's going to take 20 years. I don't know how long it's going to take. But they say at 45, at least they put an age to it. And that kind of joke me into reality of it. Because I haven't been doing that as I should. You know, and how old am I now? 10 years late. Yeah. So that when we reach 45, the books and the software and stuff that we buy for ourselves or one by ourselves, we start to buy those books and software and stuff for a young person to learn, to understand, to develop. That's what we need to try to do. We need to educate the young brothers. We need to teach them to be men. Some of them, as we've been dealing with on Zoom in Trinidad, some of them bear a father wound. And we need to be there for them. Those who bear that father wound, the young ladies who bear that father wound, we need to, as fathers especially, to be there for them. We need to educate the young brothers. They may not even know, it may be simple things like shaving. It may be simple things. We need to be there for them and we need to advocate for them. We need to encourage them, but we need to exceed in these areas too. Educate the young sisters, older sisters, they have a lot of work to do to teach the young sisters how to do what? How to love their own husband. Did I say that? I did not say that. The Bible said that. Good. Why did the Bible say that? So nobody can blame me for saying it. How to love their own husbands. How to love their children. How to be keepers at home. Well, wasn't that the situation of something? Probably will go back to that. But we need to do that. The older sisters have a lot of work to do. We need to do that. Educate the young sisters. In most areas, what we think we're doing is really working. We have to get back to what the Holy Spirit is guiding us to do. What the Word of God even here is suggesting that we do. We need to make our churches youth-friendly. I think I went a tongue with that in the last message. We need to make our churches youth-friendly. So when youth walks in that door, the youth feels the love. The youth feels, yes, I am home. The youth feels this is where I'm supposed to be. No gang can be more comfortable than this. No line can be more comfortable. This is where it is at. This is how the youth should feel when they walk through that door. A friendly, loving environment, use appropriate infrastructure, programs and training that target young people. Take a youth, mentor the youth. Take a youth under your wing, show them how it's done. Be available to keep picking them up when they fall, because fall they will. If they're anything like me, they will fall. Youth will fall a couple of times with anything like me. If it hadn't been for those people who kept picking me up, I assure you, I would not be here before you. I would not be saying this. If it had not been for the people who kept picking me up and continue to provide for them. Coach the youth. Stop the one-size-fits-all kind of sacrificial advice or superficial advice. Coach them. Coach them. They may have been taught already. So they may be at the stage where they need coaching, how to implement, how to apply what we've learned already. Get to really know them. Have a relationship. Have a relationship with them. Give encouragement. That's what we're talking about. Give them encouragement. Be a parent Produce leader makers. Folks, talk about that already. Provide consistent and systematic teaching. Spoke about that already. Inspire and motivate the young people. Now, I kind of prefer inspiration because motivation is more of a push factor. Are you with me? Motivation is more of a push factor. It's an outside force that is compelling the person to take action, even if they don't necessarily want to. But inspiration, on the other hand, is more of a pulling or driving force. It's something that comes from within and gets us to proactively give our best effort. When somebody is inspired, they are with you for the long haul. Hello? They are with you for the long haul. If you did not know that things can change drastically, then 2020 and this whole COVID situation taught us that. Things can change drastically. Yes. So you know what? We must therefore exceed the normal and prepare the youth for that which does not yet exist. I mentioned this already. We must prepare them for that which does not yet exist. The word of God says, work the works of him who sent me while it is day. John 9:4. That means work for now. Yes, that's what the word of God says. Work while it is day. While you can do, and it gives you the impression of immediate things. But it also says, occupy till I come. So it gives the impression that, look, prepare for the long haul. Live and work as if the Lord is coming tomorrow, but be engaged as if you are not sure how soon is soon. Do not stop preparing the youth for a possible future. What are we preparing them for? What ought we to prepare the young people for? As I try to wrap up here. The effects of the Equal Opportunities Acts all over the world. It hasn't reached here yet. Coming soon. Listening. Equal opportunities. That means you can't go out there or stand out there or stand here in a public place and say what the government doesn't want you to say. Equal opportunities acts and so on require a strategy in terms of how to deal with that. I might sound really crazy when I say this, but it might require that we close up our churches, make them private members clubs. Oh boy, you could have done what I say. Make them private members clubs and go out, as the word of God said to go out and disciple people, bring them in and train them here to go out into the communities and bring more people in and in a private place where you can say what you want and send them out to bring. Well, hey, you think you'll continue? Equal opportunities legislation and acts and so on. Can't get it better of God. God will start for that. So even if it comes to that, we're ready. Even if it comes to that, we're ready. Even if it comes to that, we have a plan. Systematic control by the NPO legislations in the Caribbean, the non-profit organizations. What they're doing is that the government now needs to know everything you're doing in church. The government needs to know about the finances. The government needs to know who's appointed. The government needs to know who is who in the church and that kind of stuff. So that is here, we're well alive in the Caribbean. We need to prepare people for that. Because we may pass off the scene when the effects of that come to bear. You know? But they are going to have to face it. You know, we need to prepare them for persecution that the Bible speaks about. And you need to prepare them for leadership under the conditions of persecution. We need to prepare them for maritime opportunities and threats. There might be opportunities for them to work. There might be opportunities for them to be employed outside because Panama Canal widening and that kind of stuff. There might be opportunities as we look around, but there might also be threats because of those opening ups and so. So we need to prepare them for that. We need to prepare them for the one world dictatorship government. We need to prepare them to deal with that and deal with the church under those conditions. We need to prepare them for children having the rights to identify as adults and doing adult things. We need to, Because if you feel youth giving a challenge now, young people, wait until you are where we are. I am not doing it. Wait until you are where they are. And I have to deal with young people. You'll be surprised. You know, we need to prepare the youth for people walking into the church and demanding that they marry them on the door. We need to prepare. How do I deal with that? We need to teach them and put in them how to deal with it from now. Opportunities and threats of the biotech industry. Just recently, I mean, it isn't biotech, but it's tech. We walked in a restaurant, some friends from Grace took us out. And a robot was serving us. You know, the robot, and if you listen carefully, you'll actually hear what the robot saying. No, I didn't tip the robot. Okay, I'm listening. There was a waiter alongside sometimes, and I guess the waiter got a taste. But we need to prepare them for jobs perhaps as remote surgeons, as commercial drone pilots. We need to prepare them for a cashless society that's coming, where we won't be passing around the bag as it is, but everybody will know exactly what we are putting in. We need to prepare the youth for that. You know, perhaps something in the hand, or perhaps a tap of a card. So but the one will be walking about the bag, will probably walking about the machine. Pap, you know, and that we need to prepare them for these things. Things are changing. Look how the breaking the great change already. You know? And I mean, he is still close to what we used to do, but I've been to assembly with real different. You know? You're breaking the bread real different. We need to prepare the youth for those kind of things. We need to prepare them for, and here's where I'm at sea with this, non-fungible tokens. The use of non-fungible tokens. Yeah. What's that? What do we need to prepare you for? Non-fungible tokens. Any adult knows what that is? You see? You only 10 minutes, it's your turn. What do you know? Ruben! Where's Ruben? Non-fungible tokens. What is that? What is that? Okay, so a fungible token or fungible thing is something that doesn't lose its value. $dollars. Whatever has a specific cost. Tell me if I'm going right there. Non-fungible is things that you can put up for sale in the metaverse. In the metaverse, we have realized Facebook named Meta now, and Facebook and what else? Instagram and Meta written on it. Watch it. We need to prepare the young people for this. Don't tell me I giving all the young people information here. So we need to prepare them for that kind of thing. So that you may have your shoe, but you are big and famous, not like me. You're big and famous, and you could sell the image of your shoe to somebody on the metaverse. So they own the rights to the image of the shoe which you still have. So if Michael Jordan has a basketball or sneakers or whatever, or one of them something like, they could sell the image of that, and you have the rights to the image of that, non-fungible. I think just go up and down, you know, change costs and that kind of stuff. Youth are not living in what you call a metaverse, in a parallel reality, so that some young people, they don't care how they dress in this reality, they don't care where they work in this reality, they don't care how they smell in this reality. Once their avatar is well dressed, once they can buy land there in the metaverse, once they can buy houses there in the metaverse, once they can do things like that, they're good. We need to prepare youth for the danger of that kind of thing. We need to prepare youth for those things. Many among us are satisfied with just some young people with sentiments that the world really means us well. And the world will play fair. The world will not play fair. They hate us because they hated Jesus first. So some things will get the world churning out. They're not playing fair. It's not because I love you. It's not because I love the church. They are doing things at our detriment. I'm not saying this should be all paranoid and inspired. But we need to prepare them for these things. These are the kind of things we need to prepare them for. And I'm hoping some people are actually learning some things, as I am learning. Jesus himself told us, as I said before, that the world will hate us because it hated him first. To the young people, and I think I will be closing with this. Assure the older heads. You ever saw a situation where it's hard for you to gain leadership in an assembly or a particular area, particular group? It's because some people feel, the older heads feel, that if there's a give up leadership, they're going to just kick them to the curb. And you're not going to listen to anything they're saying. And you're going to ostracize them. That's how they feel. So we as young people, that's all good. And young people, you must assure the older heads that this is not a hostile takeover where they will be shut aside and ignored. That you will always value their input and guidance. That you will continue to hold them in high esteem. Young people, prepare to be boarded by the pirates of this world. Prepare to be boarded. Older heads, let's prepare them for that boarding. This cannot be business as usual. If you're going to save our assemblies, we need to liberate the youth by advocating, encouraging, and extending. This is really send me a text somewhere on WhatsApp or something. How do I respond? Is it that I will advocate on behalf of youth? How do I respond? Is it that I will accept advocacy from my elders? How would I respond? Would I commit this morning that I will give encouragement, that I will exceed expectations, that I will prepare for a new and more evil world? You're not done yet with these thoughts. Lest you walk away and forget your response. An intention written down and time-bound becomes a belief. I'm still in focus on the camera. So an intention written down and time-bound becomes a goal. A goal broken into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed up by action yields results. So let's start by writing our commitments. Advocate, encourage, and exceed. Let us advocate, encourage, and exceed as we work. Sorry.